Aloha! Sorry for the interruption of the fifth series of our podcast. Welcome to Legends, a limited number of episodes featuring iconic surfers, shaper of our surf history. We hope you're going to enjoy them. I have to say, it was a true honor for me to interview them. Hello again, welcome to the fifth episode of our Legends series. Today with us from Hawaii, former 1978 and 1979 world champion Lynne. We discuss with her about women surfing, art, surf, and much more. Hello Lynne, welcome to the show. Where are you today?
I'm in Oahu, Hawaii.
Fantastic. I heard that the weather at this time of the year is perfect over there, correct?
Yeah, it's been really nice. All of December was terrible. And then when January hit, it just became beautiful. No wind, glassy conditions, many west swells coming in, and just really good surf. A little bit too big for me, no, but yeah.
Okay, well, it never too big, like we see the guys in the pipeline these days. So
Yeah.
having a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it's been excellent at Pipe. Yeah.
Exactly. So today we're going to talk about many things. Of course, your amazing career, but also we're going to talk about arts and painting because I'm very interested. But the first question that I have for you is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
Oh, to have fun.
As simple as that, right?
I think so. To have fun, to have a good time. Yeah.
Right. If you
For
don't
me-
have a good time, why you do it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And to find calm, to find a stress release, to be with nature. The ocean is the best place for that, and riding waves makes it even better.
Definitely. It's therapeutic, right? Yes,
Yes, it's a natural high. It's a therapeutic for sure.
exactly. I like it. The natural eye.
Uh-huh.
It looks like the advertising of lightning bolt in the 70s. I remember the natural eye or something like.
Oh, they wrote that. I don't remember that, but you remember better but it is true. It is, as you know, if you any
Of
surfer.
course. Every surfer knows. So, in this first part of the interview, we're going to talk about you as a surfer. And so, starting with the first proper surfboard, I mean, the one that you bought for yourself or was given to you. Do you remember it? And do you still have it?
Yeah, no, I don't have any of my old boards, unfortunately. I sold them because I was poor. As a pro athlete back then, we didn't get paid much. So after I stopped competing, I sold my surfboards for like $90 at Hollywood Surf and Sea. So I have no boards left those days, but I can remember my first favorite board was my parents bought my sister and myself a used surfboard from a surf shop somewhere on this island. I can't remember. My sister got this board. It was like a 7.6, something like that, a pretty wide 7.6. And then I chose a board that was more like maybe the same size, but more narrow. And it had the beautiful colors on the bottom. So I chose it more for the colors because I didn't know much about board performance or anything like that. So I remember riding that board that I thought was so pretty and artsy looking. It was stiff. I didn't like it. So I hopped on my sister's board and oh my God, that board just worked like a gem out at Makaha. That's where I learned to surf basically. And that board I'll always remember because I'm so happy my sister didn't like surfing. Because I got to use her board every time we went out there. Otherwise, we would have fought over her board. So I can remember that board really well.
Okay. But I like the two things, First of all, like the fact that your sister didn't like really to surf and gave an opportunity for you to start become like what you became, a world champion. And the other side is that spirit of being an artistic person and loving colors and art was still there since the beginning, right? So
yeah, I think so.
That's very.
So I had the art one I could just have on display in my room, and then the other one I used for surfing, real surfing.
Exactly. You were both satisfied with this artistic and the competitive side. Exactly. If you had to look at your career, what would you say was your defining moment of your career?
Gosh, there's so many of them. I think the biggest contest one, the winning the surfing competitions at Sunset Beach was one of the best feelings. And there's one of the contests was called the Lancers World Cup. Can't remember if it was 78 or 79, but the surf was like 8 to 12 foot Hawaiian, which is like a, I don't know, 20-foot faces. Or maybe 15 to 18-foot faces. And it was a west swell, and it was so really glassy, clean conditions. And it was like this west peak was breaking. And since there were only 6 women out, Margot and myself were the only ones that were really in shape and very competitive enough that we went in behind the peak and edged each other further and further behind the peak, taking off on the west peak. And I won that contest. I remember those rides forever because they're some of the best rides I ever had. And I never would have gotten those kind of waves out there on a regular day.
Okay.
Because it's crowded. You know, all the guys, they out paddled us gals and they caught all the waves. So the only way I learned to surf Sunset Beach was by being in the contest.
Okay.
But that moment defined I don't know if it was the most defining moment, but it's a memory I'll always have. And I felt so wonderful to win that contest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, it's a great achievement. And if we look at today's competitive surfing, you know, from your eyes, from the eyes of a twice world champion, what, in your opinion, stayed the same, and what, in your opinion, changed?
I don't know if anything has stayed the same. Everything has changed so much. You know, the women are getting equal pay, and hordes of women now rip. They're doing what I knew women could do on waves. Back then, there was only a handful of women that surfed, and most of them weren't as dedicated as myself and Margot and a couple others. Or I don't know if they'll think that, but they were probably all very dedicated, but we didn't have role models to look up to. So I always looked up to the male surfers to try to emulate their style. And nowadays, the women can look up to the top women surfers. The young girls can look up and have female role models to follow. And back then, we didn't really have that. I didn't anyway. I like emulated Larry Bertelmann's style. I used to love how he surfed. So I tried to watch him on waves and try to do the same kind of stuff he did. And so I don't know, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does, of course. And
I don't think there's anything that's the same anymore. Everything's so much changed because the women are being paid equal, and there's so many more women surfing, and there's so much. It's now, you know, it's a professional sport. Back then, it was just like I don't know, it wasn't anything really. You were lucky if your parents supported it because it was like a party time, just a fun thing to do, like go surfing and escape life.
Yeah.
So the whole thing changed except riding waves, and the idea of trying to do your best on a wave, that stayed the same, and having a good time out there, all of that is similar. The feeling you get from it when you have one of those days where you're doing a round the clock session, you're going in. You never stop. You know, you surf for 4 or 5, 6 hours, and you just catch wave after wave, and you're on. You know, those are the best days. All that's the same, I'm sure.
Even the ocean changed, right? I mean, it's not the same than a few years ago, right? Completely changed.
I don't know. I don't notice the ocean changing.
Well, I don't know. Like sometimes, you have a new spot that disappear, or, more in intensity. But I guess the fun part has to stay the same, right? Like we were saying at the beginning, you do for fun, you do because you like, because it gives you energy, and that's important. But
sanity.
Yeah, but you said something I think very interesting. at that time, the girls were looking up at the boys as a point of reference. And today, the boys can look at the girls as a reference. If you see what Carissa Moore is doing, there is, I
Oh
think
yeah.
there is like a complete shift into the way people see, right? And get
Yeah.
inspired. So
It's like they're living the dream we had now, finally.
it's a great achievement, right?
It's awesome to see, but of course I get a little envious, like I have to admit, but I love watching and being a part of it, being the pioneer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's such an important role as well, right? I mean,
Yeah, it feels good.
yeah,
And to be recognized and to be, my biggest fear lately has been that the history is being swallowed up of our generation. So lately we've been trying to figure out ways to make the history stay alive and well. If our generation is getting lost. Like the young people don't even know who I am, or Margot's more known than I am actually. But like even the shapers from my era, my shaper Harold Iggy, people don't even know who he was, and he was one of the top like Ben Ipa shapers, just as good as Ben back in those days. And so all that stuff is it's important to keep that remembered.
of course, it's part of the surf culture, right? And
Yeah, it's how everyone got to where they are today is because of all of that came before. Like anything in history. So it's kind of cool that people like you're doing this. And I was recently got from the California Surf Museum. I was awarded Silver Surfer Award.
Nice.
Really good. Yeah. Yeah. So
nice. You see, you're still winning awards,
Yeah, I know.
It never stops. So that's great.
Especially now with the popularity of surfing and the awareness around the world, it's become a major sport. So in the Olympics, I mean, I never even dreamt it would be in the Olympics. That dream, I never even imagined that. I just imagined, I thought I would be very rich back then because it was going so, I was looking at tennis and watching Martina Navratilova and Chris Everett. And I thought, oh man, we're going to get to be millionaires. That totally never happened until now. So I mean, like we were poor.
we hope for like this part of the life, maybe there is still a chance to be a millionaire. Obviously, being millionaire back then and now has a different change. Now you have to go for billionaire. But
still. Yeah, exactly. Now it's a billionaire. Yeah, exactly.
But still, the stock remains. So that's the most important.
Yeah. I go surfing in like 1 to 2 foot waves on my 8.4 fun board, and I have just as much fun as I had on my short board back in the day.
That's great.
And for half the time, you get older, you can't last as long. You start hurting, and you got to take care of your body too. But so I still, the stoke is still in there when I go for a surf, even just 2 hours and catch enough waves. Just being in the ocean, I don't have as many expectations. It still just feels the same, just as good today. Yeah.
We said that so many things have been achieved in women surfing. But in your opinion, what is still next to be achieved? There's still something that the surf industry, the surf world has to achieve in women surfing.
I think they're working towards it with having the women's surf at Pipe. That's a milestone to have that happen and to get the women can actually be able to train there to get good enough to show their stuff at Pipe. It's hard there. It's so darn crowded. There's probably still more things to achieve. The women there's more room for them to grow. The older generation isn't doing quite as much as I don't know. The aerials and all that stuff, I don't see the women doing those. But I'm not saying that that's something they need to do anyway, because what's good surfing? You know what I mean? That's like women's gymnastics versus men's gymnastics. They're totally two different things. So I'm not so sure. That's a good question. To me, it seems like they've really done everything. I mean, the Olympics, equal pay. I mean, what sport in women's sports has equal pay even today?
No, nobody.
Nobody, not even tennis.
I don't
Golf.
think so. No.
I wonder if golf or tennis. I don't even know, but I know that soccer they're fighting for it, and I don't know if they got it yet. But they went. I can't believe surfing even beat all those long ago sports. That have been recognized. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think?
But in effect, I have an answer from out of all the interviews that I did, and many of former competitive surfers, women surfers, or a current one, they're saying like, okay, yes, competitive pay is actually extremely good. Sorry, not competitive pay, equal pay is extremely good. Though the number of women that can assess that level and can
Oh yeah, maybe.
yeah, so it can assess that is like a very very minimum, right? Because of the sponsor are not the same like before, because of like the industry and the way of doing advertising change, like we have to advertise ourselves, create videos, and so there is still not a lot of opportunities to rise, unless you are a superstar.
Women's sponsorship. The women's sponsors, there aren't as many that support women's surfing.
In general, right? Because like from the 80s, 90s to now, a lot of brands dropped men and women in terms of sponsorship because there is not the industry shrink a bit, right? Shrank. So
yeah, I don't know all that.
Okay, but it's not. It's just like you asked me.
No, yeah, no, I didn't realize that. I thought maybe it was because there's so many women's clothes and a lot more. I don't know how they promote it. I don't really.
It's the marketing aspect of the whole thing.
There's more room for growth in that area. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, there is like an opportunity for like women and men, like to be more exposed to surf and also to get inspired and then to try a career, while maybe if I'm saying wrong, but before you had to be very good in order to progress. Now you can see at what maybe Carissa Moore is doing and getting inspired and try to be like her, So there is maybe more opportunity over there, but of course it's a hard and not an easy way to be world champion, right? And you've been world champion twice, so you can definitely say. So in your life, you met a lot of surfers. Was there a meeting with one of them that was particularly meaningful for you?
No.
You never met anybody that like left a mark in you, like that you remember particularly positively?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of any that I met. I met Larry Bertelman, but that was
good.
Yeah, but we were in the same generation, so everybody knew each other, on the tour and stuff. So I didn't really. There wasn't really any role models or any kind of professionalism back then. It was more, we were just going with the flow of the early days of the tour, which was all brand new. So it was just like all these young people going on surf trips to South Africa, Brazil, Australia, a group of surfers that Randy Rarick organized. And so I knew all of them, but I didn't, nobody really stands out except that I met that said anything that inspired me. I just had this fire in me. I wanted to be a good surfer. I wanted to be the best in the world. I had this fire. I knew I could out surf everyone. It was like, that was my goal.
Okay. Fantastic.
So I can't remember any surfer that I met that stands out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. There's a lot there. Everybody stands out in their own way.
Okay.
I've had some good friends in the surfing. My tour buddy, Sandy Billy, she was my tour buddy, and we're still friends today.
That's important, right? the friendship that you make out of surf are those that are staying forever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tend to
Her
stay.
and I are real close. Even we just got back in touch with each other, and we did the tour together, and I don't know, it was really fun back in those days, the early days.
The last surf question, and then we're gonna shift into art because I'm very curious. Before you told me about the defining moment of your career as a surfer, but what is your best memory of that competitive time that you have, that you carry with you? Do you have like a favorite one, something like you will remember forever of those days? Apart of winning, of course, that is important.
Yeah, one of the best destinations we went to was Jeffreys Bay, South Africa.
Nice.
And that was, we scored. I mean, it was like 8 to 10 feet first day. And then the whole week we stayed there. This is before there were any houses. We stayed in like a hostel or something like that. With shared bathrooms. It was all country. There was no houses there. And now I see pictures of it, and there's houses all over the place. So it was way back in the 70s, like 77, I think. And that the waves were so epic. I remember my legs getting tired on that wave. Like halfway through, I'd have to rest my legs and then start pumping again, down the line. And it was really epic. I always remember that spot. That's the best spot besides Hawaii that I ever surfed.
Okay.
I didn't get to travel that much to many, like they have that dream tour today. We didn't get to go to any of those spots except Bell's and Jeffreys Bay. All the other spots I've never, ever seen that they all go to today. So That's my best surf spot memory besides Hawaii's.
Fantastic. So now let's talk about art. When did you start? Okay, you told me that that board was very colorful, but I guess there is a transition between that and start to painting. When did you start?
Oh, painting. Took a course at a summer session at University of Hawaii. I don't remember what year though, like early 90s.
Okay.
That's kind of when I started to paint, because I learned how to use oils on canvas. And I always thought that after surfing, I was always into art when I was young. So before Pro Tour started, I went to a year of community college and I studied commercial art because they didn't have fine art. And there was no way to make a living with fine art. So I studied commercial art for a year, and then the Pro Tour came. And then I went on the tour, of course. I didn't quit school. But I always thought after surfing, I'll do art. So I was good at drawing. So after I took that painting course, I started learning more and more about oils. And then I took a couple more courses. And then I started really getting into it and just practicing on my own, painting, like whales and dolphins and marine life scenes. And then, I don't know, over time, I met some other artists, and they were doing this thing called plein air painting, which is where you paint outside on site. And I went out with some acquaintances, a friend I had that were painters, and tried it. And I just fell in love with it because I was outside in the elements painting from life rather than painting from a photo. Up to that time, I'd been painting from photos, except when I went to school, we did still lives in the class, which was life. But then I didn't go to school after that. I just self-taught myself by painting from photos from what I learned in school. But then when I got this plein air bug, I took over the years, a couple workshops that are like 4 or 5 day workshops from plein air teachers, and learned the basics of how to apply the paint quickly, and capture the light in a couple hours. And I became hooked at that. So from then on, I've just pretty much taken a course here and there over the years and just developed my style, by going a lot, just like surfing. It's so comparable to surfing. You have to, you're out in the LMS, it's wind and rain, and you feel the surf. You're at the beach, you feel the moisture, the ahupai and the wind. You're into it and you see the light, you try to capture it in a couple hours, the shadows change. So you have to really paint fast, and it becomes almost like a sport because you got to learn how to mix the colors right and see the values, apply the paint, in a nice way, you know, the brush strokes and all that.
Yeah.
So that's what really, it sort of, it can replace surfing sometimes. When you're in the zone, it's the same feeling. It's a high. You get a natural high from it. Yeah.
It's therapeutic as well, right? It's a space you create, and
yeah.
It's amazing.
It's so comparable in so many ways. So that's why sometimes when I'm injured, I just eat a lot, and it gets me through my injury. You know, I don't have to go surfing to get some therapy or therapeutic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, we know when you are very prolific in terms of paintings, it's because you're injured. When you don't paint, it's because you surf. I like that.
No, I have to really. I've learned how to balance it because it's a job. It's my main job is a painter, so I need to be prolific, even if there's surf. So,
of course,
I have to balance it. It's not. I can't just surf. The clothes get on, but I've learned this thing called balance.
Okay.
Oh,
that's important.
Although sometimes it is hard, though. You know, you start surfing more and more, and then the more you surf, the more you want to surf. You know, you got to like, oh, okay, Lynne, you got to go painting today. But then, the surf's so good, I'm going to go. It still happens. Yeah.
Okay. You know, like you have to be balanced, and you have to make sure that, of course, you know, looking for, you know, you have to still bring food to the table, right? So, I mean, painting is also the job for you, the daily job. So, I mean, you cannot like leave it aside completely. But
it's a good job for surfing because you can take a break and go surf and then come back and after paint. You know what I mean? It's a good surf job because it's my own hours. So it mixes well with being able to surf as well. So it's not a 9-to-5 job. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. And you need to be also inspired, right? You cannot just go there and paint whatever, you know, you have to.
Sometimes you have to just make yourself go and do it. It's hard to motivate people out if it's raining or windy or you're not in the mood. And once you get there and you start, then you can, usually I get into it. It's like, you know, yeah.
And your painting are only Hawaii inspired, or it's you just like go from this subject to another one? I saw a lot of ocean, of course, into them, but
well, my wife is from Hungary, so we go to Hungary. She's Hungarian, so we go there every year, usually in the fall. So I love to paint the fall colors and the city scenes, the urban scenes, you know, and the country scenes. We have 2 places there that we own. You know, a flat in Budapest, and then another place out in a small little countryside town called Abraham Hedge, and that's in the wine countryside. I don't know if you've been to Hungary, but
not really.
There's a big lake there, and it's a vacation place, and it's more country, so I paint more of you know, landscapes.
Okay.
And then in the city, I'll paint the street, you know, the street scenes, the urban landscapes. So that is very different than the Hawaii scenes. Like I do landscapes, seascapes, and not that much urban here, but the palette is so different. You know, the colors that you use are a lot different. So I like that. I like to break it up. You know, if I could go up like to Italy, I would love to go to Italy. I still haven't been there.
Oh, no way. You should go to Italy.
I am. We are going to go. Hopefully when COVID calms down.
Yes, COVID has to come down a little bit.
I'd rather go to Italy, France, maybe Switzerland. I don't know. Europe. I love Europe. So I want to go traveling all around. I've been to France. But you know what I mean? I don't have a desire to go on surf trips, but I have a desire to go on other types of trips. You know,
it makes sense, you know, like, I mean, being in Hawaii, you have the best wave over there, right? So, I mean, where you want to go? If for painting...
Well, a lot of people go to Bali, though. A lot of surfers
fine.
Or Tahiti. You know,
there is always a destination.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There is always a destination.
They're not artists, so...
In the next time you fly towards Hungary, just stop by and go to Italy or France. It's going to be a beautiful experience.
Yeah. No, I hope next year we can go, but I don't know with COVID. I don't feel comfortable.
We cross fingers, right?
Yeah.
We have to do that. All of us. Okay, so we're going to finish our interview with a short Q&A, so question and answer session. Please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind. The questions are standard, and I ask everybody on the show. So,
okay.
The best surfboard that you ever ridden? The one of your sister. I don't know. What was that?
No, it was my Iggy. It's one of my Iggy surfboards. Probably I think a 7.2 brown double winged swallow, a 7.2 and big surf. Like a Haleiwa and. Okay.
Your favorite shaper of all time?
Harold Iggy.
Of course, that was I kind of knew
That's
the answer.
East one.
Personal question: your favorite song?
I don't have a favorite song.
Favorite music? If you have to put like some music, which music would you play?
I like new age music.
Okay. That's
like
fine.
Kitaro, Vangelis. Vangelis.
Okay. Your favorite surf spot?
I don't have a favorite surf spot. It changes over time. Favorite surf spot now is a secret.
It's a secret, yes. I think it was secret also back then, right?
So my favorite surf spot back then was the place I called the Rights.
Okay.
But first it was Chun's Reef. So I could just put that out there. I'll say Chun's Reef.
Okay, fantastic. Nobody will be upset by that. You're showing secret spots. No, we want to keep them secret.
Yeah, we cannot show that spot. But that's today. Back then, it wasn't my favorite spot. Are you meaning for today? Or
No. I mean back then. Yes.
Yeah, Chun's Reef.
The best. Your favorite woman surfer?
Marissa Moore.
Definitely Hawaii, representing Hawaii, so it couldn't be any different answer, of course. And
I saw her. She was a grommet, and I saw her out at Kaiser's, and she was ripping. She was a grommet, and she was surfing like a little boy. I never saw a girl surf that good in my whole life. She was like this little kid, just shredding, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then her dad, and then I did this 360. I did like a little 360 thing in front of her. She was, "Wow. Are you Margot Oberg?" And her dad goes, No, Carissa, that's Lynne Boyer. It was funny. But ever since then, I knew she was going to do this amazing thing that she's done. So yeah, she did.
And now she's, only this year, if you think about, she won the Olympic Games, then she won the world title. Just 2 days ago, she won the Triple Crown of surfing in Hawaii. So it's like she's like
you won the Triple Crown?
Yeah, she won. So
yeah, I didn't hear that yet.
So basically it's like unstoppable. So
yeah, she's awesome. Yeah.
The last question, it's a little bit unusual, has nothing to do with surf, has nothing to do with art, but I ask everybody, even Greg Knoll, answer to this question. I want to know your best relationship advice.
Communication.
Yeah. It is as simple as that, but it's very effective. If there is communication, everything goes well, right? Can be joyful communication, but also communication about things that you don't like or problem. But
exactly.
It's very important that there is that exchange. Yeah. Fantastic.
Equal communication.
Equal communication. Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Thanks a lot for being on the show with me today. And I look forward to talk to you very soon.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!